Hey, what's up, friends? It's James. Welcome back to Power Yoga. So, in today's class, we're going to focus on strength, flexibility, and balance, but then we get everything nice and slow and nice and deep. So, let's start out at standing. You can have your big toes together with some space back between your heels, or if you prefer, have your feet at hip bone distance on parallel with one another. Now, let's take a moment and kind of set up our posture here. So you can spread out into your toes. That's one good way. Maybe lift the toes off the mat and then lay them down and spread out into all of the edges of your feet. And then I like to do some shoulder rolls. So just with a bend in the knees, inhale to lift your shoulders up towards your ears. And as you exhale, just roll your shoulders down away from the ears and the back. And feel free to close your eyes if you like at this point. We can do that again if you want. And inhale just to bend through your knees. Lift your shoulder heads high up towards your ears. Exhale, just release your shoulder heads down away from the ears on the back. And then release the weight of your arms. Close your eyes. Check the knees aren't locked. And feel that length in your spine all the way up through the back of the neck. We'll do a big, deep 3-part breath to really warm our breathing up. So just exhale all the way down to empty. And breathe into your low belly and your low back. Hold there. And then breathe into your mid-abdomen and your mid-back. Hold there. Fill all the way up to your chest, all the way to your shoulders. Once you've got your full breath, hold and relax. And then like you were quieting someone on your exhale, take it all the way out to empty. Get all the way down to the bottom of your breath. And then when you hit the bottom, we're going to start Ujjayi breathing. So this is inhaling through your nose, slow and deep, like you're sipping the air in through a straw. From the bottom, from the middle, all the way smooth up to the top. And on your exhale, you're going to fog up a mirror out your nose. So slow and control, releasing that air. Ujjayi breathing is victorious breathing. That's the translation from Sanskrit into English. And what I love about that idea that we are victoriously breathing is that victory is not something we are hitting at the end or eventually, but victory is something we are creating in the moment here and now with each inhale, each exhale. So let this breath be your guide for your practice, and then just take what works for me and leave the rest behind. Bring the eyes open to a soft gaze up front. On your inhale, lengthen your arms up nice and tall in space to mountain. And as you exhale, hinge out from your hips and control a swan dive down into a forward fold. Allow your fingertips to get all the way down to the ground. And then give a slow nod yes through your head. And a slow side to side nod no, just letting the weight of your head relax down. If you've lost track of that breathing, I want you to come right back into that breath. And one way you know that you've got Ujjayi breathing down is when you hear the sound of ocean waves in your head. And then just walk your left fingertips, fist, or palm into the center. You bend into your left knee, and then you're going to press down into your right heel, extending your right leg and reach your right arm up in space, so twisting your chest open to face the right wall. You could also place a block on level 1 and press your palm or fist down into that block. Twist open through the chest. Stay with your breathing. Extend up through those fingertips. Think about your full wingspan from the floor all the way up to the ceiling. Nice, friends. Take one more inhale just to lengthen right here. Stretch it out. And on the exhale, we're going to change things up. So now bring your right hand down where your left was, using your fist, fingertips, or palm. And you'll press into it, bend into your right knee, lengthen your left leg, pressing into your left foot, and then reach that left arm up tall in space. So now you're twisting open to face the left wall. And again, this is kind of that fingertip to fingertip reach, that full wingspan reach from the floor all the way up to the sky. You've got a nice stretch along the outside edge of that left leg and then coming up into your left hip. And then as you twist, a nice stretch for that left low back to breathe into. And then, of course, the chest and the shoulders getting a nice opening here. Let's take one more inhale, lengthen. And on the exhale, refold. Okay, keep your arms and your head super heavy and just hanging loose. And vertebrae by vertebrae, wind up to standing, letting your head be the very last thing to stack up. When your head stacks up, inhale to reach your arms wide and tall. And then on the exhale, just draw your hands down into your heart center. Inhale, stretch and reach back up in space. Breathe in, mountain. And on the exhale, hinge out from your hips and take that swan dive down into your forward fold. This time, inhale halfway up, so press to your shins, lengthen the crown of the head forward, gazes to the ground, tone your shoulder blades in. Hold this half lift, this spinal extension. Again, so knees are bent just a little bit, hands are pressing to your shins. You could also do your thighs. And then as you extend the spine outwards in space and you have the gaze down, we want to bring the core in nice and strong for that low back. And then your shoulder blades gently toning in for the upper spine. One more inhale here, and on that exhale, just fold forward. And this time we'll reverse swan dive, so a little bend in the knees, inhale the arms wide and tall. And then on the exhale, cactus your arms open and take a baby back bend, lifting through your chest, strong through the core, strong through the shoulders. Inhale, reach back up in space, gazes forward, and hands into your heart center on the exhale. Okay, let your right foot be your base. Inhale your arms and your left knee up into a one-legged balance. If you're wobbling, you're wiggling, no worries. This is all about just playing with that balance, focusing on it. Try to bring your gaze to one object that's not moving in front of you and hold your gaze on that object. You can also think about your big right toe rooting into the ground, and then you're trying to find the full extension of your body from the foot all the way through your fingertips. Left knee's bent at 90, thighs lifted up, thigh bone plugged back into the hips. Beautiful. And then when you're ready from here, we're going to move into tree pose. So you can take your left hand and you can grab onto your left ankle. You could bring your heel close up towards your groin with the foot on the inside of your right thigh, toes right above your knee. You could also take the foot down and place it to the inside of your calf below your knee. Another way is to have the ball of your foot to the ground and then the heel to the inside of the ankle. So once you got that, I want you to press your palms together in front of your chest. And the palms pressing together are a reminder that your foot and your leg are also pressing into one another to stabilize. Again, focus on that balance. Find that length up through your spine. Roll out through your shoulder heads. And stay with your breath. And yeah, the breath is another brilliant tool for balancing. Almost there. Okay, on an inhale, just bring your arms and your left knee back up into that one-legged mountain. And then we're going to do a swim to a flying lunge on your exhale. So your legs go into a regular lunge position, and then your arms just extend back in space, and you've got the length in your spine from that back leg all the way out through the back of your neck. Front knee is bent at 90. You can always make little adjustments in your legs as you need to and as your feet. Your back heel is off the ground. Your thighs are toning in towards one another. You could also bend your elbows up and back slightly. Let those shoulder blades gently tone in as you point back through your fingertips. And it really looks like you're about to launch out here. Awesome, friends. Find a couple more rounds of breath. Maybe find that lunge. Maybe make it a little bit deeper, a little bit longer. Your thighs can always tone back in towards center line here. You're pressing into your right foot. You've got the strength of that right leg, holding that knee nice and strong, and then you can engage that right glute so the glute pulls back away from that right knee. And then warrior two. So on an inhale, you can drop the knife edge of your left foot to the ground. Start to bring your left arm backwards and your right arm forwards. I'm going to guide my hands into my hips and just start to kind of line the pose up. So you've got the spine straight up in space. And then you've got your right foot. I'm kind of inching my right foot forward a little bit in space just to get a long stance. But you've got your right knee right above your right heel. Your right sit bone tucked underneath your body. And then you're extended off that back left leg. So you're pressing down into both feet, and the thighs are toning back to center line. Nice. Open your arms up. Extend all the way to the front of the mat and the back. And then find that breathing. Create some really nice posture here. So if you're caving in through your shoulders, always the opportunity to roll out through the shoulder heads. Nice job. A couple more rounds of breath. So take an inhale into your warrior two. And then when your exhale comes, just create extended side angle pose. So press that right forearm to your right thigh. You can lift straight up through your left arm, create this nice stretch out of your left hip and also for that low back. Watch that your left hip isn't popping up in space. You want to leave your left hip on level with the right, and you're finding lift of your inner right side body away from your right thigh. You can twist your gaze and take your gaze more up where your hand or where your arm is reaching in space. And in Sanskrit, in the yoga practice, we got this word, your drishti, and it means your gaze, and it does mean your physical gaze, but it extends beyond that. It also means your inner gaze. So as you're here, we're taking our drishti, our gaze, out kind of beyond our arm or beyond our hand. We're also using that breath just to keep that inner drishti, right, that inner gaze, what's happening with our body, keeping that awareness, that focus. We're going to leave this one and just inhale to a star. So at this point, you're going to face away from the front of your mat. Your toes point to the left. Legs are wide. Arms are wide. All 10 toes point to the side. Breathe in. And on your exhale, take this into a wide-legged squat position. So bring your hands onto your thighs. And then just kind of shift your hips a little side to side as you find this positioning. We want to line the knees up over the heels. And then your feet are kind of out on an angle. And as you start to hold that squat, watch that your knees aren't collapsing into center and you're rolling onto the inside edge of your feet. So feel planted into your feet. Feel those thighs rotating up and back in space. And then we're going to do some really nice twisting here. So press your hands into your thighs. Breathe your spine up nice and tall. And on your next exhale, twist to the left. So press into the inside of that right thigh. Nice breathing. Inhale the spine back up in space. And on your exhale, we'll switch the twist out. So press off the inside of your left thigh now and twist towards the front of the room. Nice breathing. Okay, step back out into your star. Inhale your arms up nice and tall. And on your exhale, come back into your warrior two facing the front of the room. Turn your right palm to the sky. And for our reverse warrior, bring your left hand to your hip thigh or wrap it behind your low back. Right arm reaches up in space. You're really deep in your lunge, right arm is tall, and then you're bending that elbow and taking your gaze up. Again, watch that your hips are not popping, your back left hip's not popping up here. Level those hips out as you're in your lunge. Reach up through your arm. Your drishti, your gaze can go up in space. It could also go to the side or even back down to your left foot. One more inhale right here. And on your exhale, cartwheel your hands down into a low lunge position. Both hands framing the right foot, and you're on the ball of the left foot in space. Okay, we'll take it to standing splits. So the weight goes to your right foot into your fingertips, fists, or palms. Your gaze is to the back of the room, crown of the head down, and the left leg is lifting up in space. Press into your fingertips, press into your fists, or press into your palms as if you're going to lift your weight of your body up in space into a handstand on your hands. And again, we want the gaze back behind us, all the way down. Okay, now for a one-legged squat, start to squat into your right leg and bring your left knee to tap your right calf. Your hands can stay to the ground, or if you want to challenge this a little bit, reach your arms back in space, and then your spine comes more to a half lift with your gaze down to the ground, crown of the head is reaching forward. But a deep squat in your right leg, left knees into your right calf. We are breathing into the heat that we're creating in that leg. On an inhale, come all the way up to one-legged mountain. Nice work, friends. Bring your arms and your left knee up in space. And then we're going to add an extension of your left leg forward as you lift up through your left thigh, as you press down into your right foot. We want to avoid leaning back, and one of the visuals for me that works is like there's gymnastic rings where your fingertips are. You're grabbing onto those rings and pulling down as you press your foot forward. And you can definitely do this with a bend in your left knee if you need to. We don't want to sacrifice the length in your leg to the length in your spine. Beautiful. On an exhale, just bring the foot to the ground. Bring your hands to your heart center. You can give the right leg a little bit of a shake out. And then planting your feet at the top of your mat, inhale to extend up into mountain. And on the exhale, hinge out. Take that swan dive down to your forward fold. Inhale halfway up. Plant your hands, move into your plank. You can skip this if you want. We're going to exhale, don't skip this. Come into your plank. We got side plank Faschistasana. So right hand is underneath your right shoulder, and we're going to move onto the outside edge of your right foot, stacking the left onto your right. Left arm lifts up tall in space, hips bow away up from the ground. You could also drop your right knee below your hip like a kickstand with the toes out to the side as well. That's another way we can do this one. Find your breathing. Find those hips lifting up in space. Spread out into that right hand. Almost there. Beautiful. On your exhale, you're going to turn into your plank, lower down into your tabletop. Take your knees out slightly wider than your hips. Press to your left palm. And for thread the needle, inhale your right arm up in space. And while it's lifted, let's give a nice roll out through that right wrist, especially after we just had the pressure on it in that side plank. And then an inhale lengthens the right arm up, and as you exhale, you'll thread the needle. So dive the right arm underneath the left. And you bring the side of the head and your arm all the way down to the ground. And then your left hand or forearm can press into the ground, pressing you back in towards your right shoulder. While you're extending the right fingertips to the left, you could also pull your right shoulder gently back into the right. You want to watch that your knees are staying up above your hips in space. Rather, you want to check that your hips are staying up above your knees in space. So that you've got the hips up high, and then you've got the entire torso that's coming down from the hips and pressing into the outside of the head, pressing into the outside of the arm. And what I love when we're doing that breathing inside of a stretch like this is that you can get that reminder about how to get a little deeper into it. Excellent breathing. Last round of breath on this one. Bring the left palm into the ground. Inhale to twist open to the sky, extending right fingertips tall. And as you exhale, come back into your tabletop. So you can go directly into down dog from tabletop if you want, or you can join us in this little flow where we step back into plank, breathe in at the top, and then exhale halfway down, Chaturanga Dandasana, hovering off the ground, and then press to the tops of both of the feet. Inhale, upward facing dog, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. And in upward facing dog, you want to check you're not caving the shoulders, they're rolled out, and that you've got the hips off the ground. The only thing connected are the tops of the feet and the hands. Thighs are off the ground, knees are off the ground. When you're ready from here, we move to down dog. Tuck the toes, lift the hips back up tall in space. And immediately just start a nice walk out through your down dog, just letting one heel press to the ground at a time while the opposite knee bends. You want to spread out into the hands. They're just slightly wider than shoulders distance, shoulders width. You're into the circle of your palm, into your fingers. Hips are starting to lift back and up in space. You're already lengthening your spine. You've already starting to lengthen and extend the arms. And then bend both of your knees a little deep. Hold the hips back and up in space. As you press to your hands, now we need to let the biceps tone towards center line. So with your head relaxed, imagine that you're holding tennis balls between your ears and your biceps. And then with the hips nice and tall, start to let your heels pull down towards the ground. And now we've got the length in the spine and the length through the back of the legs as well. Use your breath. Exhale, bend the knees. Take a step up into your forward fold at the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway up, lengthen through your spine. And on the exhale, refold, and we're going to take a bind where you hook the peace sign fingers around your big toes. Palms end up facing towards one another. And then your feet are at hip bone distance, and then you're letting your toes press down to the ground. And on an inhale, come halfway up, lengthen through your spine, gazes down. And on your exhale, refold. And it's more of like a baby half lift compared to the one that we usually do. Okay, now as you're in this bind, we get to start to gently push and pull against our own body. So your hips are lifting back and up in space as your feet are pressing down and the big toes are pressing down. And then you start to pull your hands against your toes pressing down, bringing your spine deeper. Elbows will open up a little wide to the sides of the room. You can always remind the weight of the head to relax down with a nod yes or a nod no. Use that breathing. You're doing great. Nice. Exhale all the way out. Release the hands away from your feet. And then we'll do that slow vertebrae by vertebrae wind up to standing. Head is the very last thing to come up. As your head stacks up, inhale your arms wide and tall. Breathe in, mountain. And on the exhale, cactus your arms open, baby back bend. Lift up through your chest. Tone your shoulders in. Inhale, arms up tall in space, and then hands into your heart center on your exhale. Right on. Root into your left foot, and this time inhale your arms and your right knee up into one-legged mountain. And again, you were feeling the full length in our spine from the foot all the way through the fingertips. You're taking your gaze and you're focusing on one object out in front of you. And then that right knee is bent at 90. Right hand can grab right ankle when you're ready, and you're placing the foot for tree pose, so the inside of your thigh above your knee, or the inside of your calf below your knee, or the toes to the ground with the heel inside of your ankle. Once you're positioned, start to bring your hands together into your heart center. And then your hands are pressing into one another. And again, this is the reminder that I say of your foot and your leg are doing the same thing to stabilize. And from there, you're starting to let that tree grow tall up towards the sky, tall up towards the sun. And we're just focusing on our breathing. Right on. So inhale to bring that right knee back up one-legged mountain. And then on an exhale, we're going to swim all the way back to this flying lunge. So ball of the right foot all the way to the back of your mat. And as you create that lunge position, your back heel is off of the ground and pulling forward. Again, you can make adjustments for your legs. I'm doing it right now, finding the right distance of my legs, the right position of my feet. And then your spine is on a diagonal, and it's on the same diagonal that your back right leg is on. So we've got the length from your right heel all the way out through the back of your neck. Elbows could bend up and back, shoulders could tone in, and then you're shooting energy out through your fingertips behind you. So if we were flying through space, then you'd be shooting that energy back out your fingertips. That's my visualization anyway. Propelling you forward. Nice, friends. Let your thighs tone in towards center line. Press into that left foot. And again, think about protecting your left knee here, hugging it with the muscles of your leg, letting your left glute tone and pull back away from that left knee. And from the end of your exhale, we can inhale to warrior two. So knife edge of your right foot to the ground, bring the right arm back, left arm forward. Hands could come to your hips if you want to set it up that way. Lengthen your stance out. Take the opportunity to get it a little bit longer. Your heels are in one line from the front of the mat to the back, spines up nice and tall, left sit bone tucked underneath your body. And then press strong into both feet as you open your arms to the front and back of the room. A little focus on that back leg. We want to watch we're not bending into our right knee, right? You're extended and pressing down through it. It's nice and toned, that right leg. And then you watch that you're not rolling onto the inside edge of your right foot, that you're pressing nice and strong, gripping through it, and definitely connecting into the outside edge. Again, gazes out across those fingertips. And it's a nice stretch for the hips, right? Nice stretch for the legs inside of warrior two as you're toning in. Take one more inhale right here. On your exhale, just shift forward and take extended side angle pose. Bring your left forearm to press into your left thigh. Right arm lifts up nice and tall. Right hip is staying on level with your left hip here. And our drishti, our gaze, is just going out, kind of where your right arm is reaching. It doesn't have to look right at it, but it's kind of up and out so that your right arm is right in the periphery. Your right hand's right in the periphery. And really, there's little to no leaning into that left arm when you think about it. You're doing a lot of lift through that inner left side body here. Nice breathing. On an inhale, star, this time you're pointing towards the right side of the room. Legs are wide, 10 toes out, arms breathe up and wide. And on an exhale, take this into your wide-legged squat. So for the wide-legged squat, as you kind of bring those heels in a little bit, you line it up. So you got your heels above, your heels rather underneath your knees. Your thighs are rotating up and back. You're spreading to your feet. I want to add a piece where you start to lift your heels off the ground, and you might bring the legs in a little bit closer. And then open your arms up. Stand out through your fingertips and let your shoulder blades gently tone in behind you. Stay with your breath here. Again, we can always make little adjustments as we need to, but we want to find the ability to hold, and especially right when we get into the strength part of this. So we start to build that endurance with our muscles. We're right there with our breathing, staying present for it. Step back out into your star. Inhale, reach into it. And on your exhale, come back to your warrior two, facing forward. To reverse your warrior, left palm to the sky, right hand to your hip thigh or behind your low back. And as you're deep into your lunge, left arm lifts up. You can bend your elbow a little bit. Again, gaze could come up so that the right ear is kind of dropping down as your right shoulder drops down. Just strong with those legs. Check that that right hip's not popping up in space, down on level with your left hip. This is a good one to check you're not rolling onto the inside edge of the right foot. You're rooted all the way through it, especially into the knife edge. Nice, friends. So breathe in here, and on your exhale, we'll cartwheel down to a low lunge position. So both hands are framing the left foot, and then move into that standing splits. So take the weight to your fingertips, or your fists, or your palms, and then you're standing on the left leg and lifting your right leg up tall in space. Head is totally relaxed, so the crown of the head is down and the gaze is behind you. And then press into your fingertips or your fists as if you're going to lift yourself up into a handstand. So you're pressing that right leg back up and you're also lifting it back up. Nice breathing. And so breathe into it. And then on an exhale, you're going to bring your right knee to your left calf and then squat into your left leg. If you want to challenge this as you're squatting and nice and strong in that left leg, you start to fly your arms back, and then your gaze is down and the crown of the head is reaching forward. Use that breath to dig in. Nice. Rise up one-legged mountain. So bring the arms and that right knee all the way up in space. And then the one piece we're going to add here is that we'll start to extend your right leg forward as you lift up to your thigh. So this is where that visual of the gymnastic rings, right where your fingertips comes into play. You give a little pull down on those rings so your arms are plugging into your shoulder sockets. You're connecting back to core. And then as you lift through your right thigh, you're extending forward from that place. Nice. One more inhale, lift up. Exhale, bring the right foot to the ground. Give your left leg a little release, little shake out. And then plant your feet. Inhale, reach up into mountain. And when the exhale comes, hinge out from your hips and take that swan dive into your forward fold. Inhale, halfway up, lengthen through the spine. Plant the hands, we move to plank, and we're taking Faschistasana side plank, left hand as your base. So roll onto the outside edge of your left foot. Right foot onto your left hand directly underneath your shoulder. Right arm lifts up or hand is to your hip. Again, you could bring the left knee to the ground with the toes to the side underneath your hip as a kickstand for another option here. Listen to the sound of your breath. Make sure you're not sinking into that left shoulder. You're lifting out of it. We're almost there, guys. You're doing awesome. Okay, so your next exhale, we go to our plank, and then we drop the knees down. Take your knees out a little bit wider than your hips. Root into your right palm, and then inhale your left arm up in space. We're setting up thread the needle, but while your left arm is lifted, give a nice roll out through your wrist. Okay, breathe in, and on your next exhale, thread the needle. Dive your left arm underneath the right. Bring this side of the head to the ground, the arm to the ground. And then your right hand or forearm can press into the ground at your side, so it's pressing you back in towards your left shoulder. Hips are right up above your knees in space, so the weight of your spine is pressing down into your head, pressing down into your arm. Nice breathing, guys. Okay, so right hand back to the ground under your shoulder. On an inhale, lift the left arm from underneath, twist open to the sky, breathe in, and as you exhale, come back down into your tabletop. So to complete this flow, you can go right to down dog or step back into your plank, breathe in at the top, and then exhale halfway down. So you're hovering right to elbow height, and then go to the tops of the feet, inhale, upward facing dog. Little roll out through the shoulders. Nice posture through your spine here and through your chest. And then you're pressing to your hands, the tops of your feet. And as you lift and press to your hands, your hips, legs are up off the ground. Tuck your toes, take it back into our downward facing dog. And with the warmth that we've got in the body now and our second time coming into this shape, see if you can start to find the alignment pieces of it a little bit earlier on as you breathe with it. Taking that length in your spine, finding that length through the back of your legs. Come down to a tabletop. And then we're going to set up Dolphin Pose from here, friends. So if you haven't done Dolphin before, it's similar to Down Dog, except we're on the forearms. This pose uses a ton of core strength, and it also uses a lot of back strength, shoulder strength. So the setup for it is from your tabletop, you can come down to the ground, and then we're going to create the shape number 11 with the forearms. So you might first bring opposite hand to the outside of opposite elbow or bicep, and then swing the arms back on parallel with one another, everything again at shoulder's distance. You could step back into a full forearm plank if you want. And then from there, we start to create more of that down dog shape where your toes step up towards your elbows, your hips lift back up away in space, and then your sternum is lifting backing up towards your thighs. And a lot of that, again, we've got the core strength and we've got the shoulder strength engaged as well. The head is relaxed, gaze is behind you. And try taking the right leg up if you want, three-legged dolphin. Nice, bring the foot to the ground, left leg pulls up. On an exhale, that foot comes down. Hold it. And then knees down to the ground. Find hero's pose, friends. So tops of the feet to the ground. Bring your feet together. Sit bones back towards your heels. Hands can relax to your thighs. Just take a couple rounds of breath, maybe even a sip of water here as well if you'd like. Nice job. Nice job. Okay, we got a couple more power poses for you. We're going to work our way into some warrior one and then into some eagle on both sides. So I want us to meet up in downward facing dog. You can get there through a plank or through a tabletop. And once you've got your pose, take the right leg back and up in space, three-legged down dog. And then open the hip and bend the knee. Create a scorpion tail so your toes drape down to the left as your knee lifts up. Check that you're not dipping down through your left shoulder and that your left heel is not twisting to the left. And then on an exhale, step up into a low lunge. Walk your right foot a little to the right, left foot a little to the left. And then for warrior one, spin the knife edge of your left foot to the ground and you create a lunge in your legs. But rather than warrior two where you're opening to the side, your chest is like a high lunge towards the front of the room. Your heels can be on that railroad track, so a hip bone distance. And then your back left foot is pointing a little to the front of the mat, kind of pointing more out to the side there. Knee right over your heel, left hip twisting forward, right hip is drawing back, nice and strong through the legs. Find that breath in your warrior one. Okay, so cactus your arms open. Bring your right elbow in front of you, and to create eagle arms, you'll wrap your left elbow underneath your right, and then you're looking for the palm, wrist, or thumb to hook onto of the right hand with your left. From there, take the weight into your right leg, and then bring your left knee up in space. So we're in one-legged mountain with eagle arms. And then rather than the elbows dropping or drooping, lift those elbows up nice and tall. Start to wrap your left thigh over your right thigh, and then drop your sit bones nice and low as you lift up through your spine here. And as you wrap the left thigh over the right thigh, you could let the left foot just flex out to the side, or you can press the outside of the ankle to the outside of the leg. So outside of left ankle to outside of right calf. Or some people go for a wrap of the top of the left foot around the back of the right calf, a little snake wrap. As sit bones drop low, keep your spine tall. And again, if you're wiggling and wobbling, no worries. This is one where you are pulling and pushing against your own body. We were in a bind earlier, experiencing how we could push and pull against our own body. This is different, but we get to use those same elements to find balance and stability. Nice, we're ready to unwind. Reach up, one-legged mountain, breathe in, and then swim back, low lunge. Before we take the other side, while we're here, let's move to pigeon. So walk the right foot over to the left side of your mat, and then drop your right knee over to your right. Top of your left foot's to the ground. Walk the left foot back a little bit. And then when you're on your hands, you want your right knee to be to the outside of your right hand. You can have the top of your right foot or the side of the right foot to the ground. And then as we lower, we're bringing it down onto the forearms, and we're bringing the head down to the block or to the ground. Watch that you didn't just roll over onto your right hip. You want to keep the right hip pulled off the ground on level with your left hip. One way to check that is that the front of your left leg is pointing straight down to the ground. And then you can make adjustments. You could, bring your shin more parallel to the top of your mat for a little more intensity with the side of the foot to the ground, toes flexed back and in. Or you could angle it a little bit away from the mat. Maybe use the top of your right foot if it's feeling hard on your ankle. Nice with that breath, guys. And I'm sure you can find little ways if you're looking for it where you can get, move, shift, pull, push a little bit deeper into the stretch. This is really good for your right hip. That's what Pigeon is, our nice deep hip opener. Nice. Press up to your hands. Bring your spine up. We're going to unwind to a three-legged down dog. Bring that right leg up and back. Just give a little movement through it. You can go to full down dog, or if you want to flow, we go to our plank. Exhale halfway down to hover. Go to the tops of the feet. Inhale up dog. And then meet in our down dog. Once you hit down dog, take your left leg up and back in space. Breathe it nice and tall. And on your exhale, open the hip and bend the knee to that scorpion tail. So knee lifts tall. Front of your left hip bone points to the left wall. Your left heel is coming in towards the sit bones, and your toes are draping down over to the right. And again, watch that the form of the down dog didn't collapse as the leg lift. Keep it strong. On an exhale, we're bringing up low lunge, and then we're stepping into our warrior one. So left foot a little to the left, right foot a little to the right. So when you drop your heel down, the knife edge of the right foot down to the ground, your heels are on railroad tracks. Connect strong to that back right foot so you can twist forward through your right hip away from it. Let your left thigh bone plug back and in, and then your arms are up like high crescent lunge. Pinkies forward, thumbs back. Arms pulling back to frame your ears and shoulder heads down away from the ears and the back. Beautiful breathing. Okay, let's cactus the arms. We're setting up eagle arms. Bring the left elbow forward and then wrap the right elbow underneath the left, finding the palm, wrist, or thumb. Once you're there, inhale your right knee up and find that one-legged mountain with eagle arms. Right knee bent at 90. Spine is nice and tall, and as you create eagle legs and wrap your right thigh over your left thigh and then come into that squat in your left leg, keep your spine up super tall. So your right foot could flex to the side, or the outside of the right ankle presses to the outside of that left calf, or your toes wrap around the left calf. If the elbows are drooping, lift them up. Find those 90-degree bends between the chest and the triceps, and between the biceps and the forearms. And stay playful with your balance. Nice, friends. We're going to come out, start to unwind right back up to your one-legged mountain, arms and right knee tall. Breathe in, and then swim into a low lunge, and we'll take pigeon on this side. So left foot over to the right side of your mat, drop your left knee over to the left. Top of the right foot is to the ground, slide it back a little bit, and then as you press into your hands and lift up through your chest, left knee is to the outside of your left hand. Top of your left foot or the side of the left foot to the ground. And then we're getting down to our forearms and bringing the head to the ground, to your hands, or to a block. Again, check that your left hip didn't just drop to the ground. We want to pick it up on level with the right hip and have the top of your right leg pointing to the ground. Make those adjustments as you need to. One thing you can always do too is that you can use your right foot to walk back or walk forward or walk a little right or a little bit left to position yourself here as well. So kind of leaving the left leg fixed and then moving your whole body around that left leg. That's another way to do it. Finding those places on the exhale where you release a little deeper. Press into your hands, lift up, tuck the back right toe, take your left leg up, three-legged down dog, provide some movement for it. You can go right to down dog, or we can take our last flow, high plank into low plank, upward facing dog on that in-breath, and down dog on that out-breath. Nice, friends. Let's take one deep inhale into our down dog. Exhale, sigh out. Okay, bring it down to your knees, and then you're going to bring your legs forward, and we'll find a seated forward fold. So extend the legs all the way out in front of you. Heels are to the ground, toes are up. Walk your sit bones back a little bit, and then inhale your arms up tall in space as you press down and forward through your heels. And on your exhale, hinge forward and connect to your feet, toes, or ankles, or the mat. If you'd like, on an inhale, lift your chest and gaze up as if you're on a road bike, extending out to the low back. And on the exhale, refold, gaze is down, crown reaches forward. You could also wrap a towel or strap around your feet and then pull against it with, the ends in both of your hands. You can add or subtract bend in your knees as you need to as well. So maybe bending your knees a little bit brings the toes a little closer, and you can hook onto it. And once you hook onto the toes, you again have a bind, and you have your own body to gently push or pull against to find the depth. So this one's super similar to when we had our peace sign fingers around our big toes once you're connected, or once you have a strap or towel to pull against. Obviously, great stretch for your legs, and then also just for that spine. Fantastic for the spine. Last round of breath on this one. Inhale the arms wide and tall. And on the exhale, hands to your heart center. Okay, slide your hips up a little bit. We're going to roll onto the back, and if you want, we can move into shoulder stand, or if you don't want to go to shoulder stand, you can just do waterfall, legs straight up, maybe a block, the hips on the edge of a block. But if you want to move to shoulder stand, you're on your back, and you bring your elbows close in towards your sides. Hands are up. And then we press into the elbows, lift the hips and back off the ground, and then extend the legs straight up in space. We've got the weight of the head relaxed down, the shoulders relaxed down. And what we want to check is that the weight of the pose is actually not on the neck, and it's actually lightly on the shoulders, even though we call it shoulder stand. We want the bulk of the weight to be down into our elbows, triceps, and then definitely on the shoulders and on the base of the skull, but you've got a clear airway to breathe with here. So find the full height you can breathe into and push into and pull into. And on the exhale, start to take that full height back into Plow Pose, where you're lengthening your legs back overhead behind you in space. Toes could come to the ground, legs could hover off the ground. Either way is fantastic. You can start to press your heels back behind you, giving a little flexion into the feet. Hands can stay at low back, or you could move it to the ground, or move the hands back where your legs are reaching. You could also, rather than having the legs extend, you could experiment bending the knees as well. Remember, we're here to breathe. Nice, vertebrae by vertebrae. Slow motion, roll out of this one. Let the feet plant to the ground for bridge pose at hip bone distance from one another. If you reach your arms down your sides, you can touch your heels, and then we lift the heels off the ground, press into the triceps, bring the shoulders in a little closer, relax the head. Press down into the feet, press down into the elbows. Head and shoulders are to the ground. Lift up through the hips. Feel spread out into all corners of your feet here. Ujjayi breathing is a full diaphragmatic breath, and we can see the rise and the fall of the belly in bridge pose as we do a diaphragmatic breath. Last couple rounds. Can use the exhale to vertebrae by vertebrae, release down, and then happy baby, peace sign fingers to your big toes or hands to the outside edges of your feet. Gently pull down on the frame. Your legs are bent, and then your feet are out wide. Bottoms of the feet are pointing to the sky. And we can give a little side-to-side rock in our happy baby that can feel really good. Pulling down on the frame and just letting the body rock left, rock right. Let your left foot come to the ground. Wrap your right thigh over your left thigh like that eagle, and then stack your legs over to the left so you roll onto the outside edge of your left hip. Right arm to the right, left hand grabs onto the outside of that right thigh and gently draws down. Nice breathing, friends. Come out of that twist, uncross. Right foot plants to the ground. Send your left ankle over the top of that right thigh. And then with the eagle legs in place, your legs come down over to the right. Roll onto the outside edge of your right hip. Reach your left arm to the left. Turn your gaze out across your left fingertips. And then right hand is gently pulling down on the top and outside of that left thigh as you twist from the tailbone all the way out to the crown of the head. Beautiful breathing. Nice, friends. Unwrap, bring the knees into your chest, and give a little side-to-side rock. The last couple minutes of our class, we'll go into our final resting pose. This is corpse posture or Shavasana. Just extend your legs out in front of you. Allow the weight of the feet just to relax open. And then let your arms open up at your sides, palms turn to the sky. Close your eyes. Can let go of controlling your breath at this point and just allow your body to take back over on the breathing. Slowly start to bring life back to your body, just wiggling your fingers and your toes. Take a full morning stretch, reaching the arms back behind you. Roll out your ankles, your wrists. Deepen your breath. And then roll the weight of your body onto your side and just relax into a fetal position. Let the air come all the way down to empty. Breathe into the low belly, the low back. Up through the mid-abdomen, mid-back, all the way into your rib cage, all the way to your chest, all the way to your shoulders. Hold your full breath. Sip in a little more. Exhale, release it out. Join me in a cross-legged position, setting yourself up as if we were going into a seated meditation. Shift your body weight onto the front edge of your sit bones, pulling the flesh away or walking them back. And then relax your hands where it feels comfortable to you. A little roll out of the shoulders, just finding that really beautiful posture all the way up through the back of the neck. It's been my pleasure to lead you through your yoga practice today. I hope you have a beautiful rest of it. I salute you. Namaste. Right on, friends. Thank you so much. As always, if you could hit the like button, the subscribe button, share this with anybody, that helps out a ton. If you would like to make a donation for virtually taking the class, I've got my Venmo ID. The link to it is in the description video. I also just put out a new blog post that's all about the Alabama legislature voting to overturn the ban on yoga in schools. I've spent a lot of my yoga teaching in schools, so I've got a pretty passionate blog post written about it. But anyway, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll catch you next time. All right, much love.